Hey everyone, it's good to see you again. I hope you enjoyed the weather videos that we made a while ago. That was a lot of fun. Today, Annie asked me if I would put together a video about space exploration. Have you ever wanted to be an astronaut? Well, ever since I was a little boy, I always wanted to be an astronaut, to go up in a rocket, explore outer space, go to places that no people had ever visited before. And even today, as you know, being a little bit older now, I would be more than happy to be one of the first people to go out and explore Mars, which is something that everyone's talking about right now in space exploration. So when I was a little boy, all this space exploration got started when the Russians, the country of the Soviet Union back then, sent up a satellite called Sputnik. Now that happened all the way back in 1957, and I was only 3 years old then. Shortly after that, the United States got involved in trying to catch up and then go past the Russians because we didn't want to lose this space race. We sent up our first astronaut. His name was Alan Shepard, and that happened in 1961. A long time ago. Well, shortly after that, our president, President Kennedy, decided that we should send men to the moon and then bring them back again before the end of the decade. So he was challenging Congress and the entire country to develop a space program that was able to send people to the moon. Well, it took a lot of work and took a little bit of time because finally Apollo 11, which you may have heard of, was a space launch and program with a capsule that sent men into space and finally landed men on the moon and then brought them home again. And that happened in 1969. So growing up during this time was really exciting. And so here's some video clips I put together of some other interesting things that was happening when I was a boy. Hope you enjoy them.
The center of the galaxy, something important about our position that turns out to be wrong. We live in the outskirts. The globular clusters are centered around the marvelous middle of the Milky Way galaxy. And then it turned out that this isn't the only galaxy. We live in this one, but there are many others. And as this picture reminds us, there are many different kinds of galaxies of which ours might be just this one. There are in fact 100 billion other galaxies, each of which contains something like 100 billion stars. Think of how many stars and planets and kinds of life there may be in this vast and awesome universe.
Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
Flight of Apollo 11, beginning 30 hours of continuous coverage of the lunar landing.
Good day from ABC Space Headquarters in New York. It is July 20th, 1969, and man is about to land on the moon. Eagle will touch down approximately 4 hours and 17 minutes from now, if the flight plan as it is now established goes forward as scheduled. With me is our science editor Jules Bergman, and we will be here from now on for what will be truly a historic time in the life of our country and in the existence of mankind. The two astronauts who will make the landing on the moon, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, have already entered the LEM. They have been in it for several hours checking it out. The last word is that all systems are performing very well.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Hey, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed those video clips. One of my favorite TV series was Star Trek, which you saw that little clip with the USS Enterprise flying off on their 5-year, which actually got extended because the TV show got extended as well. That particular series, and of course we love the Star Wars movies. And hopefully you've seen most of them. If not, then you need to get an opportunity to see those as well. So let's talk about what's going on currently. We have two programs going on right now at NASA that are the most prominent ones. And one started a little over 20 years ago called the International Space Station, where the United States decided that we were going to put a satellite into orbit that was an orbiting science lab. And other countries would join in and they would help out with this too. And we would put astronauts, scientists, researchers on this satellite to do experiments. And so that's been going on for, like I said, quite a while, and it still is up there and operating. And so I have got a couple of short clips here because it's really cool and kind of hard to understand what zero gravity is like. And so one of the astronauts is going to take us on a tour of the International Space Station. So I hope you enjoy this.
Hello, I'm Sunny Williams. I'm up here on the International Space Station. Now, I want to say where we are. So right now, we're in the Japanese laboratory. It's one laboratory out of many here on the International Space Station. It's actually on the left-hand side. If I was International Space Station and I was flying through space like this, my left hand would be where the Japanese laboratory is. So now again, we're on the right-hand side, all the way on the right of the International Space Station. This is Columbus, the European module. It has science experiments all over. You could see it looks a little bit crowded. And here we do a lot of our medical experiments. So this is Node 2. This is a really cool module. Of course, most of these modules you'll see, they have 4 sides. And they're put together. That way we could sort of work on a flat plane, either a wall, a floor, another wall, or the ceiling. But, you know, again, all you have to do is turn yourself and your reference changes. The reason I'm bringing that up is because this is where 4 out of 6 of us sleep. And so people always ask about sleeping in space. Do you lie down? Are you in a bed? Not really, because it doesn't matter. You don't really have the sensation of lying down. You just sit in your sleeping bag. So here's one sleep station right here. I'm going in right now. You can follow me if you want. So I'm inside. It's sort of like a little phone booth. But it's pretty comfy. I've got a sleeping bag right here that we sleep in, so we don't have sort of like a little bit of a cover. We don't fly all over the place. But you know, you can sleep in any orientation. I have it sleeping, feeling like I'm standing up right now, but like you saw, I'm on the floor. But it doesn't matter if I turn over and I sleep upside down. I can't have it, I don't have any sensation in my head that tells me that I'm upside down, so it really doesn't matter. The sleep station is also like a little office. We've got a computer in here. As you can see, we've got a couple little toys. I've got some books. I've got some clothes and other things that make it sort of like home. I'm coming out. And just for reference, that's one sleep station. This one's another. Right here. There's one on the ceiling, if you want to call it. Right here. And then there's a fourth on the other wall over here. So all of us sleep in a little bit of a circle. All right, come on back. There's more to show you. Here we are in the U.S. laboratory. Again, this is a laboratory with science experience on all of the walls here, all sorts of stuff that we do. And one of the things we also do is we exercise. We have some exercise equipment on board the space station. We need to do that because we lose bone density and muscle mass while we're up here, and that's a result of not having to fight against gravity. So, how we keep ourselves in shape are with a bike, a treadmill, and a weightlifting machine. This is the bike. You notice the clip pedals. So all you need to do is actually clip your feet in, and then you can start pedaling. You don't need a seat because you don't sit down. Actually, I haven't sat down for 6 months now, so you don't need any type of seat. Just make sure you're held in with your pedals. You probably see that the bike bounces around a little bit. As I move it, it's not steady and held to the wall firmly. And the reason for that is the space station is pretty big. You saw that there's also solar arrays on the space station. If we start putting any forces into the space station, it's going to make those solar arrays bounce around a little bit. So to prevent that, the machines bounce around a little bit, move around a little bit, and that way we don't put any forces onto the structure of the spacecraft out to the solar arrays. Now I'm going to take you to one of the coolest places on the space station. It's like a glass-bottom boat. This is the cupola. It sticks down below the space station. It's one of those places you find yourself hanging out in all the time because all you want to do is look back at our planet. I think some questions I had were about what do you do in your free time? And you can't help but want to just come to the cupola and look outside as much as you can. And a lot of folks, I play this game with myself about where we're flying over the Earth. I try to come in here and just guess. After being here for a little while, you can sort of figure it out. You can tell different cloud types over different continents. You can tell different soil types over different continents. So let's see. And then, of course, there's a lot of ocean. So usually we're over the ocean at first glance. I will tell you in just a moment where we are. There we go. Oh, right now we are right over Africa. It's a little bit cloudy, as you can tell, but we're right over the continent of Africa. Hey, what's that? I think that's a Soyuz spacecraft. That's the spacecraft that's taken us home to planet Earth today. Oh my gosh, we might have to go take a look at that.
Another NASA program is currently operating exploring Mars, and you may have seen some of this more recently. So back in July of 2020, we sent off a rocket that was headed to Mars. Mars is the fourth planet in our solar system, so it's the next planet out from the sun. And scientists want to know if maybe life existed on this planet at some time. Probably not like life here on Earth, but maybe some other little microorganisms or something like that. So we've sent up several probes that have orbited around Mars, and we've actually put two other rovers on Mars, which are those little cars that drive around. But we recently sent one up that is called Perseverance. And Perseverance was launched in July of 2020, and it took a little over 7 months to get to Mars, and then has some really, really cool technology that allowed, again, a soft landing of a rover on the surface of Mars, and it's there driving around right now taking pictures. And it also has a little helicopter. And so scientists wanted to know if this helicopter would be able to fly around and get a little bit better picture of what the surface of Mars looks like. So I've got a couple video clips here. One is the launch of the Perseverance rocket, and it's really cool. It's a much more complex, powerful rocket because it had to go all the way to Mars, and it, like we said, it took 7 months. And the other is a really cool video clip of how they landed the rover on the Mars by using a parachute, and then it dropped a little capsule that had little rockets on it that allowed the rover to be lowered down by a cable onto the surface, and then release the cable, and it flew off, and that way the rover was down on the surface. So take a look at these video clips, and I'll be right back.
7, 6, 5, 4, engine ignition, 2, 1, 0. Release and liftoff. As the countdown to Mars continues, the perseverance of humanity launching the next generation of robotic explorers to the Red Planet.
And Atlas TU has gone to closed loop control. Coming up on 30 seconds into flight, the RD-180 is throttling down as expected. Engine response looks good. And Mach 1, Atlas V is now supersonic. And passing 45 seconds into flight, vehicle is now passing through max Q, maximum dynamic pressure. Passing 1 minute into flight, the RD-180 is throttling back up as expected. Engine response looks good. At this time in flight, the SRB chamber pressures remain nominal. The RD-180 pump speed and fuel injector pressures are responding well to demands on the engine. Standing by for SRB burnout shortly. And we have burnout on all 4 SRBs. Burnout pressure signatures look good. Standing by for SRB jettison shortly. And we have a good indication of SRB jettison of all 4 SRBs. And the vehicle has gone to closed loop guidance. Vehicle body rates are responding nominally at this time.
The straighten up and fly right maneuver, where the spacecraft will jettison the entry balance masses in preparation for parachute deploy and to roll over to give the radar a better look at the ground.
Applicant indicates chute deployed.
The navigation has confirmed that the parachute has deployed, and we are seeing significant deceleration in the velocity. Our current velocity is 480 meters per second at an altitude of about 12 kilometers from the surface of Mars.
Heat shield set.
Perseverance is now slowed to subsonic speeds, and the heat shield has been separated. This allows both the radar and the cameras to get their first look at the surface. Current velocity is 145 meters per second at an altitude of about 9.5 kilometers above the surface. .
1 Nav filter converged. Velocity solution 3.3 meters per second. Altitude 7.4 kilometers.
Now has radar lock on the ground. Current velocity is about 100 meters per second, 6.6 kilometers above the surface of Mars. Perseverance is continuing to descend on the parachute. We are coming up on the initialization of terrain relative navigation and subsequently the priming of the landing engines. Our current velocity is about 90 meters per second at an altitude of 4.2 kilometers.
LVS valid.
We have confirmation that the lander vision system has produced a valid solution and part of terrain relative navigation.
Timing. EVA is nominal.
We have priming of the landing engines.
Back shell set.
Current velocity is 83 meters per second at about 2.6 kilometers from the surface of Mars. We have confirmation that the back shell has separated. We are currently performing the divert maneuver. Current velocity is about 75 meters per second at an altitude of about a kilometer off the surface of Mars.
TRN safety Bravo.
We have completed our terrain relative navigation. Current speed is about 30 meters per second, altitude of about 300 meters off the surface of Mars. We have started our constant velocity accordion, which means we are conducting the sky crane, about to conduct the sky crane maneuver. Sky crane maneuver has started, about 20 meters off the surface.
We're getting signals from MRO. Tango Delta.
Touchdown confirmed. Perseverance safely on the surface of Mars, ready to begin seeking the signs of past life.
Wasn't that cool the way they dropped rover down to the surface of Mars? You know, the technology and all of the planning that took place to get that done is just absolutely astounding. Now, one of the next things that we would like to do in our space program is send people to the moon to actually put the people on the surface to do more exploration. And so that's probably going to happen in the next 10 years or so. And I don't know. I'm going to try and volunteer to go, but I don't know if they'll take me then. But maybe one of you guys can. So I hope you enjoyed the kind of a quick overview of what space exploration was when it first started and where we're at now. I've got one more picture I want to show you, and it's kind of hard to see, but what I'll do is I'll send this picture to Annie, and maybe she can give you a printout of this picture so that you can look at it more closely. But this is a picture that was taken by the Mars rover, and it's kind of interesting that it's a picture of the rocks on the surface, but there's an interestingly shaped rock, which they enlarged right here that's in this red circle. And I want you to take a look at that and tell me what you think that rock looks like. So until next time, keep looking up, keep your heads in the stars, and read and learn everything you can about space exploration, because someday, maybe, we'll be on one of those rockets heading to another planet. Until then, take care. Bye, everybody.